Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, it's time for below grade level. It's time for the fright of your life.
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books that we read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton.
So we're off to a great start.
Did you almost say Barry?
No, I just I thought about the Zoom because I'm not sharing the screen yet, and I was like, why the fuck can't I see anybody that we're talking to?
All right, we have a new setup today.
We have a new setup.
And it's going great.
It's going super good. I am not overworked and stressed, so I'm super good. I'm great. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton. With me, as always, is Bekah Eaton.
Hi.
And Kris Zaleski.
Hello.
How are you guys doing? Better than me?
Fine. I think so.
Probably.
The bar's not super high, but...
I got a haircut,
Ooh, it looks nice.
so I'm all fancy.
I like your spooky background still. Our hosts are us that we just announced. Ooh, get ready for this episode. I'm going to have to read words on the screen.
I'm taking over notes. Should I also just take over hosting?
Just take over everything. Just be like, I'm Jonathan. Just be
right.
3 times louder.
I'm Jonathan. And our guest today, returning champion, Huey. Hi, Huey.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here. It's certainly a thrill.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
Of course.
I love this.
I don't know what else to do. I don't pay attention when you do this part, so I don't know what else.
How is your window so bright? It's dark here and we live in the same time zone.
I have a light that shoots right at that window.
I was going to make a joke that there's a light there, but that's what it is.
It's the truth.
I mean, I feel like I get washed out and weird if I turn this one on.
Yes, you are quite pale.
Oh,
had to yell at a cat real
God, had
fast.
to yell at a
Sorry,
cat.
everything's fine.
Well, this episode's off to such a good start.
I bring real stability to an episode, I feel like.
Yes. Huey, you were last on our show, and I think that was actually the first time you were on our show. We were reading My Teacher is an Alien.
Teacher is an Alien. We did the end of My Teacher is an Alien.
Yes, that was good. That was fun.
That was a great book.
That was fun.
I've been wanting to have you back on for a while, and I feel like this is a really great book to have you back on for. So I'm going to, actually, I'm not going to share my screen yet, but just let you know and let the listeners know. We are reading currently Goosebumps, Night of the Living Dummy by R.L. Stine.
Rock and roll.
And this is our second session reading it.
Yes.
We only read up to chapter 7 before.
Okay. And that was quite a while ago. I took a
Many
little
moons
listen.
ago.
I took a little listen. My whole intention was like, this will be our October episode, and it's currently November.
Now that I know the book, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Kris and Lindy are our 2 main characters. They're 2 sisters.
I forgot about the name.
I think they're
Don't
twin
like it.
sisters, maybe.
I can't remember if they're twins or not.
I do think they're twins.
They definitely have twin vibes.
They get twin
like-
vibes.
They want what the other one has all the time.
Yeah.
They're
And,
very bickery.
and like very
Huey,
different
are you eating French
personalities.
fries?
Yeah.
Classic Huey.
Nice.
Wingstop.
The book opened with Kris and Lindy probably fighting, because I feel like they were fighting the entire time we were reading. And their mother sent them outside to go play, and while they were outside playing, they found if I'm remembering this right, a ventriloquist dummy in a dumpster. Which, as any young girls, children would do after they found a definitely haunted ventriloquist dummy in the dumpster, they fucking fell in love with it, and they fought over it a lot.
Yeah.
And his name is Slappy, if you're familiar with Goosebumps at all. And Lindy basically took Slappy and was like, I'm going to be a ventriloquist. And Kris got really jealous, and then the mom bought a second ventriloquist dummy. So then there were 2 ventriloquist dummies. I think the other guy's name was Mr. Wood.
I think so.
Which was very imaginative.
I lied. It's not all coming back to me. This is all very new information for me.
Yeah. So far, nothing crazy has happened other than I do think Slappy slapped someone.
I didn't remember him slapping someone, but there was a moment where he was like, "Fuck you, Kris," or something. Like he just said something really nasty, and they were like, "Oh, you're being so mean, Lindy," and she's like, "No, it was Slappy."
That wasn't me. It was Slappy. Yeah.
He did something sentient.
Yeah.
But did he slap someone? I don't remember.
See, I can't remember now if I.
Maybe
I
he
don't
just
know
dreamed
if he
it.
slapped someone or if I'm just like, well, his name is Slappy.
Yeah, he's got to slap someone.
He's gotta
at some
slap
point.
someone. Someone's gonna get slapped.
I haven't read this book in 30 years, but I swear to God, I remember that at one point they find a rotten sandwich in his head.
Ew.
Did that happen yet?
Spoilers.
I think so. No.
I don't know if it's real or not.
You can't say that while I'm taking a drink.
Oh my God, this guy Huey came back on BGL lately and spoiled the rotten sandwich in the dummy's head.
I was waiting for
guys.
that part.
His evil
Got
was
it.
powered by that rotten sandwich.
Holy shit. I can't. Oh my God, I can't
Note
wait
the
to find
time
out
and
if there's
cut
a
it out.
fucking rotten sandwich in his head.
Okay, and so the main thing that happened was Mr. Wood, the knockoff Slappy, disappeared at the end of the last chapter.
Yes,
They woke up.
that is where we left
He was
off.
gone.
All right, any questions here, or do you want to just jump right into it?
No, I think I'm okay.
No, I don't know if I've ever asked a guest if they had any questions.
I know. God, I hope
I
he
was
doesn't,
thinking about
because I
asking
don't think
for a
we'll
ride
have
to the
answers.
airport.
Yeah. Do you help moving soon? Oh God, it's gonna be a good one. All right, so if you remember saying this last time, we each take a turn reading a
page,
page.
right?
Yeah, we'll read a page, and we do voices, and we'll start off so you can kind of get the gist of it.
As we try to remember what voices we did.
I do remember the voices I did. I remember the voice I did for Lindy, and that's all I remember. So I hope she is the first person to talk. Good. Chapter 7. Kris blinked several times and pushed herself up in bed with both hands. Her left hand tingled. She was having a heart attack. She was sleeping on it, she realized. What's
Why was that
wrong?
worth noting?
Huh?
Why was that worth noting?
Is there the word count? Get it out there?
Did she
Or
just
maybe
find
she
out
wasn't
she has carpal
sleeping on it.
tunnel or something?
Yeah, this is actually a
She's getting
harrowing
carpal
story.
tunnel
of-
from using the ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, clack, clack, clack. Ow, God. What's wrong? Lindy asked, her voice fogged with sleep. And also, that's just how it sounds. Where's Mr. Wood? Kris demanded impatiently. Where'd you put him? Huh? Put him? Lindy struggled to focus her eyes. She saw Slappy sitting stiffly, say that 5 times fast,
What?
on the chair across the room by himself. It's not funny, Kris. Oh, it's not funny, Kris snapped. She climbed out of bed, pulled down the hem of her night skirt, and made her way
Night
quickly to the chair in front of the window. Don't you ever get tired of playing
It was
stupid
shirt. He read it
jokes?
wrong.
Okay, thanks.
What'd I say?
You said
Skirt.
night skirt.
Night skirts what prostitutes wear.
Wow. Second page, and Jonathan has already forgotten how to read.
Is that what they said in the 60s when they would like drive down like
Look at
the
them in their night skirts.
street next
Look at
to
that lady.
Wall Street?
Yeah.
Look at all them night skirts, guys. Pick out your favorite. Don't you ever get tired of playing stupid jokes? Jokes? Huh? Lindy lowered her feet to the floor. Kris bent down to search the floor under the chair. Then she moved to the foot of the bed and got down on her knees to search under both twin beds. Twins, just like them.
Yeah. Where is he, Lindy? She asked angrily. Yes. On her knees at the foot of the bed. I don't think this is funny. I really don't. Well, neither do I, Lindy insisted, standing up and stretching. Kris climbed to her feet. Her eyes went wide as she spotted the missing dummy. Oh! Lindy followed her sister's startled gaze. Mr. Wood grinned at them from the doorway. He appeared to be standing, his skinny legs bent at an awkward angle. He was wearing...
Backwards, like a cricket.
What the fuck? He was wearing Chris's dress-up clothes, the Betsy Johnson skirt and silk blouse. How big is this fucking doll?
I don't know, but he's gonna go to jail in Alabama.
Oh no! Her mouth wide open in surprise, Kris made her way quickly to the doorway. She immediately saw that the dummy wasn't really standing on his own. What? He had been propped up, the doorknob shoved into the opening in his back.
Ooh,
She
man.
grabbed the dummy
You know where.
by the waist and pulled him away from the door. My blouse, it's all wrinkled, she cried, holding it so Lindy could see. She narrowed her eyes angrily at her sister. This was so obnoxious of you, Lindy. Me? Lindy shrieked. I swear, Kris, I didn't do it. I slept like a rock last night. I didn't move. I didn't get up till you woke me. I didn't do it, really. She's protesting a lot.
Yeah, I know,
But
right?
she might just be obnoxious.
Ooh.
Kris stared hard at her sister, then lowered her eyes to the dummy. In her blouse and skirt, Mr. Wood grinned up at her as if enjoying her bewilderment. Well, Mr. Wood, Kris said aloud, I guess you put on my clothes and walked to the door all by yourself. I'm feeling out voices, just bear with me. Lindy started to say something, but their mother's voice from downstairs interrupted. Are you girls going to school today? Where are you? You're late. Coming, Kris called down.
Was it a
casting an
choice? Be
angry
like,
glance at
no,
Lindy.
Right?
we're not going to school today.
She carefully set Mr. Wood down on his
Could
back
I just say
on her
no
bed
this whole time?
and pulled her skirt and blouse off him. She looked up to see Lindy making a mad dash across the hall to be the first in the bathroom. Scroll down, please. Sighing, Kris stared down at Mr. Wood. The dummy grinned up at her, a mischievous grin on his face. Well, what's going on? She asked the dummy. I didn't dress you up and move you, and Lindy swears she didn't do it. But if we didn't do it, she thought, who did?
Dun, dun, dun.
That's it for this episode.
Chapter 8. Tilt his head forward, Lindy instructed. That's it. If you bounce him up and down a little, it'll make it look like he's laughing. Kris obediently bounced Mr. Wood on her lap, making him laugh. Don't move his mouth so much, Lindy told her. I think you're both crazy, Lindy's friend Alice said.
Can
what
you
else is
imagine
new?
if you were friends with this like pair of girls and they both started fucking playing with ventriloquist dummies?
Oh no, I would admit, like they would.
They
if-
would be the instantly loneliest two girls in school.
You get dunked on real
And-
hard.
Yeah.
If I was like friends with them, like when we were kids and that happened, I'm 38. I would still be talking about them.
Yes.
I would like every
100%.
time, anytime like someone didn't know the story, I'm like, oh, I gotta tell you about Kris and Lindy, these two fucking psycho girls that I grew up with.
They swore it wasn't them, but it was totally them.
they each had a ventriloquist dummy and they had a rivalry.
All right. So what else is new? Cody joked. All four of them were sitting in a small patch of shade under the bent old maple tree in the Powell's backyard. It was a hot Saturday afternoon, the sun high in a pale sky, streaks of yellow light filtering down through the shifting leaves above their heads. This is painting a beautiful picture.
It really
This is
is.
a lovely day to sit in the
Barky
shade and play
sniffed
with
busily.
dumpster trash.
Way to go, Robert Lewis.
Barky sniffed busily around. Man, these people are terrible at naming things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was so angry
Barky.
last time we read and it was the dog name was Barky. I was just like, all right, I'm done.
Barky.
Why you shouldn't let your kids name the pets.
Yeah.
Truly.
Kids, what good are they? Barky sniffed busily around the yard, his little tail wagging nonstop. Kris sat on a folding chair, which leaned back against the gnarled tree trunk.
She had Mr. Wood on her lap. Lindy and Alice stood at the edge of the shade, their hands crossed over their chests, watching Kris's performance with frowns of concentration on their faces, really taking it in. Alice was a tall, skinny girl with straight black hair down to her shoulders, a snub nose, and a pretty heart-shaped mouth.
Oh,
Ugh.
Whoa.
Why? She was wearing white shorts and a bright blue midriff top.
damn,
all right, guys,
Alice.
I'm sure
you
this will
sound
be
way too
very
hot to hang
important.
out with these girls.
Like, R.L. Stine's just like, she looked just like my neighbor's daughter.
Right? Alice, you could definitely find cooler friends.
Cody was sprawled on his back in the grass, his hands behind his head, a long blade of grass between his teeth, like Tom Sawyer.
Classic
I think we
Cody.
can all relate to one of these kids, right?
He was about to go whitewash a fence. Kris was trying to show off her ventriloquist skills, but Lindy kept interrupting with quote-unquote helpful suggestions. When she wasn't making suggestions, Lindy was nervously glancing at her watch. She didn't want to be late for her job at Amy's birthday party at 2 o'clock. I forgot.
Oh, right.
She got hired to do ventriloquist dummy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think you're way weird, Alice told Lindy. Hey, no way, Lindy replied. Slappy is a lot of fun, and I'm gonna make a lot of money with him. Maybe I'll be a comedy star or something when I'm older. She glanced at her watch again.
That voice. How did we come to that voice?
I don't know, but it's like every time I doubt myself making her sound like that, she then says something that only makes sense in that voice.
She's like tree trunks.
Holy shit, she is. Oh my god. Well, everyone at school thinks that both of you are weird. There you go.
Yeah.
Alice said, swatting a fly off her bare arm. Who cares? Lindy replied sharply. They're all weird too. And so are you. Oh, wait. And so are you, Kris made Mr. Wood say.
That would be the last straw for me. She made a dummy and saw me and be like, goodbye
You're like,
forever.
all right, fuck off.
Fuck you.
If I ever want to cut ties with Bekah, I know what to do.
I say this as definitely one of the weird girls that would be abandoned for playing with dumpster trash. I could see your lips move, Lindy told Kris. Kris rolled her eyes. Give me a break. You've been giving me a hard time all morning. Actually, I think Lindy was being pretty helpful today.
Yeah.
Just trying to help, Lindy said. You don't have to be so defensive, do you? Kris uttered an angry growl. Was that your stomach? She made Mr. Wood say. Cody laughed. At least one person thinks you're funny, Lindy said dryly. But if you want to do parties...
Me too.
And Jonathan. If you want to do parties, you really should get some better jokes. Kris let the dummy slump to her lap. I can't find any good joke books, she said dejectedly. Where do you find your jokes? Which is funny. I can't remember if we mentioned last time that R.L. Stine has that joke book that I bought on Amazon.
You can't find
It
any
was all
joke
like
books?
computer jokes specifically.
Look up R.L. Stine.
Do you think this inspired him to write a joke book?
No, I think he'd already written that joke book.
Okay.
I think that predates Goosebumps.
He was trying to generate interest in joke books.
It was a backdoor play into his,
Yeah.
his other career.
A superior sneer formed on Lindy's face. She tossed her long hair behind her shoulder. I make up my own jokes, she replied snootily. You are a joke, Cody said. Ha ha, remind me to laugh later, Lindy said sarcastically and hilariously. I can't believe you don't have your dummy out here, Alice told Lindy. I mean, don't you want to rehearse for the party? No need, Lindy replied. I've got my act down. I don't want to over-rehearse.
I literally was about to make a joke like, I don't want to be over-prepared.
Kris groaned loudly.
Christ.
Some of the other parents are staying at the birthday party to watch Slappy and Me, Lindy continued, ignoring Kris's sarcasm. Is groaning sarcasm? All right.
What?
If the kids like me, their parents might hire me for their parties.
You know, maybe I'll work blue, and then they'll hire me for some corporate gigs. Maybe you and Kris should do an act together, Alice suggested. That could be really awesome. Yeah, what an act. Then there'd be 4 dummies, Cody joked.
It's a good one.
Also, I probably went on this rant in the last episode, but it was so long ago I don't remember. Cody is not a grown man's name.
I don't
At some
remember
point in
if
his life, he's going to go by his middle name.
at some point in his life he's going to meet a Kris who tells him to grow up and change his name.
Like I did to someone named Cody in
Yes.
real life.
Yep.
Cody
Alice.
sounds like it should be short for something, but there's no longer version of
Yeah,
it.
no,
It's not
it's-
like Codrick or anything.
Codrick.
It's
Codrick.
his parents just hated him. That's the only explanation I could think of. Or like they were big fans of Step by Step or something.
Codathan.
Alice was the only one to laugh, much like I did at Jonathan's joke.
Thank you.
Lindy made a face at Cody. That might actually be fun, she said thoughtfully, and then she added, when Kris is ready. Kris drew in her breath and prepared to make an angry reply, but before she could say anything, Lindy grabbed Mr. Wood from her hand. Let me give you a few pointers, Lindy said, putting one foot on Kris's folding chair and arranging Mr. Wood on her lap. You have to hold him up straighter, like this.
She is being kind of insufferable right now.
Hey, give him back, Kris demanded, reaching for her dummy. As she reached up, Mr. Wood suddenly lowered his head until he was staring down at her. You're a jerk, he rasped in Kris's face, speaking in a low, throaty growl. Huh? Kris pulled back in surprise. You're a stupid jerk, Mr. Wood repeated nastily in the same harsh growl. Lindy, stop it. Cody and Alice both stared in open-mouthed surprise.
What? Stupid moron! Get lost! Get lost, stupid jerk! The dummy rasped in Kris's face. Whoa! Cody exclaimed.
Classic Cody.
Make him stop! Kris screamed at her sister. I can't! Lindy cried in a trembling voice. Her face became pale, and her eyes wide with fear. I can't make him stop, Kris! He's speaking for himself!
I wish to God, I've been watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I wish that there was just a version of this book where the dummy talked like Freddy Krueger, and it was just like,
Oh my god.
shut up, you stupid bitch!
Read this page, Huey.
Yeah.
I read this page too? Okay.
Yeah.
Chapter 9. The dummy glared at Kris, its grin ugly and evil. I can't make him stop. I'm not doing it, Lindy cried, tugging with all her might. She pulled Mr. Wood out of Kris's face. Cody and Alice flashed each other bewildered glances. Frightened, Kris raised herself from the folding chair and backed up against the tree trunk. He's talking on his own? She stared hard at the grinning dummy. I think so. I'm all mixed up inside. It's real bad wrong. Lindy declared, her cheeks bright pink. Arky yipped and jumped on Lindy's legs, trying to get her attention, but she kept her gaze on Kris's frightened face. This is a joke, right? Cody asked hopefully. What's going on? Alice demanded, her arms crossed in front of her chest. Sassily.
Lindy's possessed, obviously. Ignoring them, Lindy handed Mr. Wood back to Kris.
Here, take him. He's yours. Maybe you can control him.
But Lindy, Kris started to protest. Lindy glanced at her watch.
Oh, no. The party.
I keep losing it, too.
Oh, marbles.
That's Gober Pile.
I'm late.
Shaking her head, she took off toward the house.
You sound
Later.
like Fry's grandfather.
Was the handling raw chicken? That's part of the job.
Finger licking good.
Oh, shit.
Later.
She called without looking back. But Lindy, Kris called. The kitchen door slammed behind Lindy. Holding Mr. Wood by the shoulders, Kris lowered her eyes to his face. He grinned up at her. A devilish grin, his eyes staring intently into hers. Are both dummies possessed?
Well, no, because Lindy woke up with her hand tingling. Or was it Kris that woke up with her hand tingling?
No,
I don't
Kris
know.
did.
Chris did, but what does that mean?
They're twins. It's so hard to tell them apart.
Yeah.
But what does the
In the written
tingling mean?
word.
Like that's where your hand would be in the dummy, and maybe so it was. I don't know. I thought Slappy was possessed.
Do Slappy and Mr. Wood have the same face? Because maybe Slappy put the Betsy Johnson clothes on himself and stashed Mr. Wood somewhere. Like,
But Slappy was still there.
Slappy's in the house right now, somewhere, or she thinks.
Yeah.
Maybe he body swapped himself.
Oh, like he switched
He's
clothes.
pretending
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
Mr. Wood.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, guys, this is a
Or
good
like
one.
he's corrupting Lindy or some shit.
Yeah.
Lindy might
You know
just
how
be
it goes.
insane.
Yeah, Lindy might just be crazy. Chris
Find a
swung,
dummy in a dumpster. It's obviously haunted.
Chris swung. I know we talked about this last
Spirit
time.
invades your body.
But like reading this book, all it is making me do is like want to find a ventriloquist dummy to buy. And I
No.
know that I was looking it up last time,
Yes,
so I'm
you
going to
were.
stop myself from doing it now.
We have 2 marionette dolls. That's enough weird dolls to have in one house.
But wouldn't he be great downstairs somewhere, just like up on a shelf, looking
Nope.
down at you in the from the dark?
Nope.
You have to put the marionettes next to the ventriloquist dummy, and then put that picture of Ken Watanabe from Godzilla that just says "Let them fight."
Chris swung easily, leaning back and raising her feet into the air. What? Oh, we've moved on to a new scene. She's on a swing set. The chain squeaked with every swing. The old backyard swing set, half covered with rust, hadn't been used much in recent years and was a very big hazard, and she shouldn't be swinging on it because
Probably
one of those
painted
chains
with lead,
is gonna just snap.
which would explain these
My
children's
God.
behavior.
The early evening sun was lowering itself behind the house. The aroma of roasting chicken floated out from the kitchen window. Chris could hear her mother busy in the kitchen preparing dinner. That's what it sounded like. Barky yapped beneath her. Chris dropped her feet to the ground and stopped the swing to avoid kicking him again. Dumb dog! Don't you know you could get hurt? She looked up to see Lindy come running up the driveway, holding Slappy under her arm. From the smile on Lindy's face, Chris knew at once that the birthday party had been a triumph.
But she had to ask anyway. How'd it go? It was awesome, Lindy exclaimed. Slappy and I were great. Chris pulled herself off the swing and forced a smile to her face. That's nice, she offered. The kids thought we were a riot, Lindy continued. She pulled Slappy up. Didn't they, Slappy? They liked me, hated you, Slappy declared in Lindy's high-pitched voice. Chris forced a laugh. I'm glad it went okay, she said, trying to be a good sport. I did a sing-along with Slappy and it went over really well. Then Slappy and I did our rap routine.
Oh my
What a
god!
hit!
My name is Slappy.
Slappy and I'm here to say.
Neither of you have a follow-up.
I'll slap
That's it.
everyone in the face today. I'll slap you on the cheek and I'll slap you on the butt. I'll slap you all the way to meet King Tut. That's his song. It killed.
I loved it.
Dude, I didn't know I was in the presence of such talent. This is like
Wow. How
That was
do
just
I
off the top of my head,
move
Huey.
on from there? She's spreading it on a little thick, Chris thought bitterly. Chris couldn't help feeling jealous. The kids all lined up to talk to Slappy, Lindy continued. Didn't they, Slappy? Everyone loved me, she made the dummy say. Where's my share of the loot? So you got paid $20, Chris asked, kicking a clump of weeds, like a cartoon character. 25, Lindy replied. Amy's mom said I was so good she'd pay me extra. Oh, and guess what else? You know Mrs. Evans, the woman who always wears the leopard skin pants? Sounds amazing. I want to be her friend, you know, Anna's mom. She asked me to do Anna's party next Sunday.
She's gonna pay me $30. Oh,
She's gonna pay me $30. I'm gonna be rich.
wow, $30, Chris muttered, shaking her head. Excuse me. I get 20. You get 10, Lindy made Slappy say. I have to
Adjusted
go-
for inflation, $30 would be $65.81 now. That's
Damn.
fucking
Jesus Christ.
That's fucking
Wow.
nuts. Damn.
I've decided Slappy's John Mulaney. Except for when he's mean.
Fantastic.
I have to go tell Mom the good news.
Lindy said.
What have you been doing all afternoon?
Well, after you left, I was pretty upset, Chris replied. Following Lindy to the house. You know, about Mr. Wood. I put him upstairs. Alice and Cody went home, then Mom and I went to the mall. His tail wagging furiously, Barky ran right over their feet, nearly tripping both of them.
Barky, look out!
Lindy yelled. Oh, I nearly forgot, Chris said, stopping on the back stoop. Something good happened. Lindy stopped too.
Something good?
Yeah, I ran into Mrs. Berman at the mall. Mrs. Berman was their music teacher and organizer of the spring concert.
But what did she wear?
Lower her
Thrills.
pants.
What were her pants?
Lindy replied sarcastically.
I like that. Thrills. I'm going to
And
steal
Mrs.
that. It's really rude. I love it.
Oh, that is so bitchy.
And Mrs. Berman asked if Mr. Wood and I wanted to be master of ceremonies for the spring concert. Kris smiled at her sister. Lindy swallowed hard.
Gulp. She asked you to host the concert?
Yeah, I get to perform with Mr. Wood in front of everyone.
Kris gushed happily. She saw a flash of jealousy on Lindy's face, which made her even happier. Lindy pulled open the screen door.
Well, good luck.
She said dryly.
With that weird dummy of yours, you'll need it.
Oh man, I like that she's going even more backwards, like as every minute passes.
I like that Huey made himself laugh with that.
It's really hard not to.
The look on his face was like, that was the choice.
Dinner was spent talking about Lindy's performance at Amy Marshall's birthday party. Lindy and Mrs. Powell chatted excitedly. Kris ate in silence. Let's see, hold on. Who is speaking here?
Julia Child.
Wait, no,
Oh,
this
Mrs.
is
Powell.
Mrs. Powell.
At
Wait, is it their mom?
first, I thought the whole thing was strange, I have to admit, Mrs. Powell said, scooping ice cream into bowls for dessert. I just couldn't believe you'd be interested in ventriloquism, Lindy. But I guess you have a flair for it. I guess you have some talent. Lindy beamed.
How generous, Mom.
Damn, I know.
She's so like, that's like a nag almost.
She,
It's-
I mean,
Yeah.
she is a boomer mom.
Oh,
That's
well,
true.
the next line explains it all.
Lindy beamed. Mrs. Powell normally wasn't big on compliments.
Yeah, yep.
Right?
There you go.
I found a book in the school library about ventriloquism.
Lindy said.
It has some pretty good tips in it. I even had a comedy routine to perform.
She glanced at Kris.
But I like making up my own jokes better. You should watch your sisters act,
Mrs. Powell told Kris, handing her a bowl of ice cream. I mean, you could probably pick up some pointers for the school concert. Maybe, Kris replied, trying to hide how annoyed she was.
You don't have to hide it that hard, Kris.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Family kind of
I
sucks.
hate hearing my own name so much.
It's kind of weird.
It's Kris with a K, though. It's a harder Kris.
Can't you hear the K that we're saying?
Please.
I'm hard of hearing, you know that.
It's not,
Can't
it's
tell
not
the difference
gentle,
between a K
like
or
when
a
we say your
CH.
name, we go, Kris.
Soften up them ears.
After dinner, Mr. Powell called from Portland, and they all talked with him. They wanted to know what Portland was like. What are the people like there?
Well, they all have
Dream
long
of the
hair.
90s.
Are people still the same with their funny ways? I was trying to do that
long
joke.
hair and go everywhere they need to go on rollerblades.
They have this thing called avocado toast. I think it's going to catch on soon. Lindy told him about her success with Slappy at the birthday party. Kris told him about being asked to host the concert with Mr. Wood. Her father promised he wouldn't schedule any road trips so that he could attend the concert, but maybe not the birthday party.
I would schedule all the road trips.
You're like, you're both performing with both of your ventriloquist dummies? I gotta stay in Portland for like 3 months.
Because I got a lot of work to do.
I gotta
so
wait too
I
much.
could-
Oh, yeah, Mr. Portland
could
really
pay
needs me to
off
find
the-
that report.
So I could pay off the other
Mr.
dummy.
Portland,
After watching a video their mother had rented at
working for the founder of Portland.
the... Yes.
Yeah, Steve Portland.
After watching a video their mother had rented at the mall, Basic Instinct, the two sisters went up to their room. It was a little after 11. It was a little after 11. Kris clicked on the light. Click! Lindy followed her in. They both glanced across the room to the chair where they kept the two dummies and gasped. You know, the dummy chair.
Oh no!
Lindy cried, raising one hand to her wide-open mouth. Earlier that night, the dummies had been placed side by side in a sitting position. But now, Slappy was upside down, falling out of the chair, his head on the floor. His brown shoes had been pulled off of his feet and tossed against the wall. His suit jacket had been pulled halfway down his arms, trapping his hands behind his back. Look! Kris stammered, although her sister was already staring in horror at the scene. Mr. Wood, he's... Kris's voice caught in her throat. Mr. Wood was sprawled on top of Slappy. Fucking him. His hands were wrapped around Slappy's throat as if he were strangling him, because that's what these dummies were into.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what the D is in BDSM.
Dummy. I don't believe this. Kris managed to whisper. I'll give that another
give
moment.
me a minute.
All right.
Hey, baby, are you into dummy play?
Dummy. Oh, God.
I don't believe this, Kris managed to whisper. She turned and caught the frightened expression on Lindy's face. What's going on? Lindy cried. Both sisters hurried across the room. Kris grabbed Mr. Wood by the back of the neck and pulled him off the other dummy, scruffed him like a cat. She felt as if she were separating two fighting boys.
Or cats.
She held Mr. Wood up in front of her, examining him carefully, staring at his face as if half expecting him to talk to her. Then she lowered the dummy and tossed it face down onto her bed. Her face was pale and taut with fear. Lindy stooped and picked up Slappy's brown shoes from the floor. She held them up and studied them as if they would offer a clue as to what had happened.
Evidence.
Do you both know you're insane? Kris, did you do this? Lindy asked softly. Huh? Me? Kris reacted with surprise.
I mean, I know you're jealous of Slappy and me, Lindy started. Whoa, wait a minute,
Slappy
Kris
and I.
replied. Whoa, wait a minute, Kris replied angrily in a shrill, trembling voice. I didn't do this, Lindy. Don't accuse me. Lindy glared at her sister, studying her face. Then her expression softened, and she sighed.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. Look at Slappy. He's nearly been torn apart.
She set the shoes down on the chair and picked the dummy up gently.
Like
as
he'd
if
been
picking
attacked
up-
by some coyotes.
My little wooden baby boy.
She set the shoes down on the chair and picked the dummy up gently, as if picking up a baby. Holding him in one hand, she struggled to pull his suit jacket up with the other. Kris heard her sister mutter something. Lost my place. It sounded like, your dummy is evil.
What
Sounded
did you
like that.
say?
Oh, wait, hold on. Kris heard her sister murmur.
Your dummy is evil.
What did you say? Kris demanded.
Nothing.
Lindy replied, still struggling with the jacket.
I'm kind of scared about this.
Lindy confessed, blushing, avoiding Kris's eyes.
Maybe we shouldn't have pulled a dummy out of the dumpster.
Maybe we should have become twin ventriloquists at the age of 11.
Me too, Kris admitted. Something weird is going on. I think we should tell Mom. That's right, alert the higher authorities.
Go bug mom.
Lindy buttoned the jacket, then she sat down on the bed with Slappy on her lap and started to replace the
Is that
dummy
a Starship
shoes.
Troopers quote?
Yes, holy shit.
I
I
heard
did
it
not
like
hear it.
in the back of my mind, and I was like, oh, that's Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, I guess we should, she replied. It's just so creepy.
Their mother was in bed reading a Stephen King novel.
So they threw a
bedroom was-
dummy at him.
Her bedroom was dark except for a tiny reading lamp on her headboard that threw down a narrow triangle of yellow light.
Mrs. Powell uttered a short cry as her two daughters appeared out of the shadows. Oh, you startled me. This is such a
Don't come in
scary
here.
book. And I think I was just about to fall asleep.
What book do you think it was?
It
Whatever one has the most sex scenes.
It.
might be it.
Yeah.
Just-
Kind of unfortunate that.
unfortunately.
What I thought was a wholesome joke got ruined. Got horribly ruined
Get ruined by reality.
Forgot about
by
that
Stephen
one.
King's own writing.
Forgot about that one thing in it that we don't want to talk about.
Thanks, Stephen King.
The best is like Super Nerd saying like, I don't understand why they cut that scene out.
They could.
What don't you understand?
They could have. They definitely could have put that in any movie. Any movie ever, you could put
Yeah.
that scene in.
That scene that was brought to us by pure cocaine.
We need to fuck each other so we don't forget.
Oh,
If you don't know what I'm talking about, dear listener, because I know there's only one of you,
You know-
look up the Wikipedia for it.
You know what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
we're not going to tell you anything. Can we talk to you? Kris asked eagerly in a low whisper. Something weird is going on, Lindy added. Mrs. Powell yawned and closed her book. What's wrong? It's about Mr. Wood, Kris said. He's been doing a lot of strange things. Mrs. Powell's eyes opened wide. She looked pale and tired under the harsh light from the reading lamp. He was strangling Slappy, Lindy reported. And this afternoon, he said some really gross things. And stop, Mrs. Powell ordered, raising one hand. Just stop. But Mom, Kris started. Give me a break, girls, their mother said wearily. I'm tired of your silly competitions. You don't understand, Lindy interrupted. Yes, I do understand, Mrs. Powell said sharply. You two are even competing with those ventriloquist dummies. Mom, please. I want it to stop right now, Mrs. Powell insisted, tossing the book onto her bedside table. I mean it. I don't want to hear another word from either of you about those dummies.
I love that their mom is very proper British.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning that
I
she
figured that, like, everybody has to be something completely different.
Yeah. But it's
Yes,
just
I gave birth to you, but I want very little to do with you.
and it's just great because it's just like one of her daughters ended up being like a little hillbilly swamp, and the other daughter is just like normal.
Yeah.
Like didn't go in either direction with the voice. If you two have problems, settle it between yourselves. Mom, listen, and if you can't settle it, I'll take the dummies away, both of them. I'm serious. Mrs. Powell reached above her head and clicked off the reading light, throwing the room into darkness. Good night, she said.
Power move right there.
It really is. They're like, Mom, I can't find my way out of your room. As they're walking, it's just like, ow. The girls had no choice but to leave the room. They slunk down the hall in silence. Kris hesitated at the doorway to their bedroom. She expected to find Mr. Wood strangling Slappy again. She breathed a sigh of relief when she saw the two dummies on the bed where they had been. Mom wasn't too helpful, Lindy said dryly, rolling her eyes. She picked up Slappy and started to arrange him in the chair in front of the window. I think she was asleep and we woke her up, Kris replied, making excuses for her mom
What
again.
difference does that make?
She was reading a book, kid.
Her eyes were open.
No, it's, we definitely...
Mom would never
sleeps with
ignore
her
us.
eyes
She loves us.
Yeah, the reason she was mad is because we woke her up. It's just that. That's all it is. She picked up Mr. Wood and started toward the chair with him, then stopped. You know what? I think I'm going to put him in the closet tonight, she said thoughtfully.
He's going in jail.
Oh no, he's going into dummy jail.
Oh, no.
Good idea, Lindy said, climbing into bed. Kris glanced down at the dummy, half expecting him to react, to complain, to start calling her names like bitch. But Mr. Wood grinned up at her, his painted eyes dull and lifeless.
Kris felt a chill of fear. I'm becoming afraid of a stupid ventriloquist dummy, she thought. I'm shutting him up in the closet tonight because I'm afraid. She carried Mr. Wood to the closet. Then with a groan, she raised him high above her head and slid him onto the top shelf. Carefully closing the closet door, listening for the click, she made her way to bed. She slept fitfully, tossing on top of the covers, her sleep filled with disturbing dreams. She awoke to find her night skirt completely twisted, cutting off the circulation to her right arm. Oh, there is more arm stuff. She struggled.
You said that because of me.
No. She struggled to straighten the...
Here's the thing. You know what gave it away? Because it wasn't me hearing you say night skirt. I was like, yep, sounds right. It was Kris giggling when you said night skirt. I was like, what did I miss? What hilarious joke did I miss?
Nothing.
You idiot.
What the fuck is going on with her arm?
It's possessed or something, because it's where her arm goes in the dummy. And then
Kris's
the
arms?
dummies.
Okay.
Yeah, because Mr. Wood is the evil one. It's a red herring. It's a misdirect.
Okay.
I have a theory.
Yes.
And Huey, don't spoil anything because you remember reading this.
remember
I
a
think
sandwich.
Slappy staged it to where it looked like Mr. Wood's the bad one, so they get rid of Mr. Wood, but Slappy's the evil one the whole time.
So it's a double cross.
Yeah.
Or a double cross.
Double dummy cross.
A triple cross. A double dummy cross. A double dummy cross. That's good.
Thank you. She struggled to straighten her arm and then fell back to sleep. She awoke early, drenched in sweat. The sky was still dawn gray outside the window. The room felt hot and stuffy. She sat up slowly, feeling weary as if she hadn't slept at all. Blinking away the sleep, her eyes focused on the chair in front of the window. There sat Slappy, exactly where Lindy had placed him. And beside him sat Mr. Wood, his arm around Slappy's shoulder, grinning triumphantly at Kris as if he had just pulled off a wonderful joke.
Yes.
That's
Chapter 11.
that
Bankruptcy.
He did it.
He did. I talked there. I'm so sorry.
Now, Mr. Wood, do you go to school? Of course I do. Do you think I'm a dummy? And what's your favorite class?
Really, Jonathan?
Wood shop, of course. What project are you building in shop class, Mr. Wood? I'm building a girl dummy. What else? Think I want to spend the rest of my life on... Think I want to spend the rest of my life on your lap? Kris sat in front of the dressing table mirror.
I'm made of wood after all.
Studying herself as she practiced her routine for the school concert. Mr. Wood had been well behaved for 2 days. No frightening, mysterious incidents. Well, I guess we could just forget all about it then.
Everything's fine.
Kris was beginning, people underestimate the adaptability of a child. Kris was beginning to feel better. Maybe everything would go okay from now on. Sure it will. She leaned close to the mirror, watching her lips as she made the dummy talk.
The B's and the M's were impossible to pronounce without moving her lips.
Yeah.
It's tough to do a
lot
BM
of people
without moving
have-
your lips.
God damn it. Go ahead.
You just have to
You
avoid
beat
those
me.
sounds.
You beat me to it.
She just have to avoid those sounds as best as she could.
Yeah, no one wants to hear your BMs.
So, okay, this is Kris. I'm getting better at switching from Mr. Wood's voice back to mine, she thought happily. I'm like hearing this the way like Professor Xavier sends communications to the X.
I'm getting better at switching from Mr. Wood's voice back to mine.
But
Time
I've
to
got
me, my X-Men.
The faster he and I talk, the funnier it is. Let's try it again, Mr. Wood, she said, pulling her chair closer to the mirror. Whack, 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 she made the dummy grumble. Before she could begin the routine, Lindy came rushing breathlessly into the room.
I might just
Kris
be a
watched-
fan of ventriloquists. Like every
They're really killing it with you every time.
just every time the dummy says something, I'm just like, that's pretty good.
Dummy.
Because I'm picturing a dummy. Oh, it's great.
Big Jeff Dunham fan over here.
Oh, oh no,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to.
Kris watched her sister in the mirror as she came up behind her, her long hair flying loosely over her shoulders, an excited smile on her face. Guess what? Lindy asked. Kris started to reply, but Lindy didn't give her a chance. Fuck you. Mrs. Petrie was at Amy Marshall's birthday party, Lindy gushed excitedly. She works for Channel 3. You know, the TV station, local access. They got all sorts of good shit on there. And she thinks I'm good enough to go on Talent Search, the show they have every week.
Wow.
Huh? Really? Was all Kris could manage in reply. Lindy leapt excitedly into the air and cheered. Slappy and I are gonna be on TV, she cried. Isn't that fabulous? Man.
Talent Scout was like, a child ventriloquist? Yeah, I gotta get this shit on TV.
I got that, like, the Marty McFly scene. It's like, then listen to this.
Or it's like, look, boss, we got nothing. And it's like, well, we got a letter from a child ventriloquist. It's, I'll take it. I'll take anything. It just,
Whatever we got.
Yeah. Has Bob Saget even seen this? Staring at her sister's jubilant reflection in the mirror, Kris felt a stab of jealousy. I'm gonna go tell Mom, Lindy declared. Hey, Mom! Ma! She ran from the room. Kris heard her shouting all the way down the stairs. Mom! Mom! Mom!
Meanwhile, the mom's just like, I should have swallowed them.
Jesus! Kris couldn't hold it in. She uttered an angry cry. Ah! Why does everything good happen to Lindy? Kris screamed aloud. I'm hosting a stupid concert for maybe 100 parents, and she's gonna be on TV. I'm just as good as she is, maybe better. In a rage, she raised Mr. Wood high over her head and slammed him to the floor. The dummy's head made a loud clonk as it hit the hardwood floor. The wide mouth flew open as if about to scream. Oh! Kris struggled to regain her composure. Mr. Wood, crumpled at her feet, stared up at her accusingly, as if to say, I know what you did. Kris lifted him up.
What did I do to you?
Kris lifted him up and cradled the dummy against her. There, Mr. Wood. Shh, little baby. Shh, it's okay. She whispered soothingly. Did I hurt you? Did I? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to hurt you, little baby. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. The dummy continued to stare up at her. His painted grin had changed, but his eyes seemed cold and unforgiving. Look at Kris.
Oh my god, this girl.
It was still night, no breeze. The curtains in front of the open bedroom window didn't flutter. Didn't flutter. The window didn't flutter. I'm borrowing this book again, and I'm vamping for time.
Vamp, 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 vamp.
The curtains in the front of the open window didn't flutter or move.
Oh,
God damn it.
Thank God.
I really
We
thought it
got
was going to
some
be
closure
like
on that.
some killer into that sentence.
Pale silver moonlight filtered in, creating long purple shadows that appeared to creep across the girl's bedroom. Lindy had been sleeping fitfully, a light sleep filled with busy, colorful dreams. She was startled awake by a sound, a gentle thud. Huh? She raised her head from the damp pillow and turned. Someone was moving in the darkness. The sound she heard.
That was such a good read of Perfect.
The sound she heard were footsteps. Hey, she whispered, wide awake now. Who is it? The figure turned in the doorway, a shadow against even blacker shadows. It's only me, came a whispered reply. Kris? Yeah, something woke me up. My throat is sore. Kris whispered from the doorway. I'm going down to the kitchen for a glass of water. She disappeared into the shadows. Her head still raised off the pillow, Lindy listened to her footsteps padding down the stairs. When the sounds faded, Lindy shut her eyes and lowered her head to the pillow. A few seconds later, she heard Chris's scream of horror.
Oh, no.
Chapter 12. Her heart pounding, Lindy struggled out of bed. The sheet tangled around her legs and she nearly fell. Chris's blood-curdling scream echoed in her ears. She practically leaped down the dark stairway, her bare feet thudding hard on the thin carpet of the steps. It was dark downstairs, except for a thin sliver of yellow light from the kitchen.
Kris? Kris? Are you okay?
Lindy called, her voice sounding small and frightened in the dark hallway. Glad I read that well.
Kris?
Lindy stopped at the kitchen doorway. What was that eerie light? It took her a while to focus. Then she realized she was staring at the dim yellow light from inside the refrigerator. The refrigerator door was wide open. What about the power bill? And the refrigerator was empty.
What?
What?
What? What's going on in here? She took a step into the kitchen. Then another.
Best voice.
Something cold and wet. Something cold and wet surrounded her foot.
Sandwiches?
Lindy gasped and, looking down, saw that she had stepped into a wide puddle. An overturned milk carton beside her foot revealed that the puddle was, in fact, spilled milk. Don't cry over that, kid. She raised her eyes to Kris, who was standing in darkness across the room, her back against the wall, her hands raised to her face in horror.
Kris, what on earth?
The scene was coming into focus
What
now.
entire
It was
nation?
also weird.
The Gadzooks.
Gadzooks, Sarge.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Jesus Christ.
The scene was coming into focus now. It was all so weird, so wrong. It was
He gave
taking
them
Lindy
goosebumps.
It was taking Lindy a long time to see the whole picture.
Why?
I know.
Wait a minute. Hold on now. What?
Yeah. Is you standing in milk?
You milk?
Good Lord, you milk? But now, following Kris's horrified stare, Lindy saw the mess on the floor and realized why the refrigerator was empty. Everything inside it had been pulled out and dumped on the kitchen floor. An orange juice bottle lay on its side in a puddle of orange juice. Eggs were scattered everywhere. Fruits and vegetables were strewn across the floor. The butter, oh my God, you don't want to see the butter.
Oh!
Lindy moaned in utter disbelief. Everything seemed to sparkle and gleam. What was all that shiny stuff among the food? Oh my goodness. Kris's jewelry!
What?
There were earrings and bracelets and strands of beads tossed everywhere, mixed with the spilled strewn food like some kind of bizarre salad.
That's what it actually says.
That's written. I didn't make that
That's
up.
what it says. What's kind of
I
bizarre?
don't even know what to do with that.
You know how you spill milk in your salad?
And bracelets?
Like cereal? Fuck. Oh no! Lindy shrieked as her eyes came to rest on the figure on the floor, sitting upright in the. How did they? It took them so long to take this scene in. Sitting upright in the middle of the mess was Mr. Wood, grinning gleefully at her. He had several strands of beads around his neck, long dangling earrings hanging from his ears, and a platter of leftover chicken on his lap that he had been doing God knows what to.
He looked fabulous.
Again, he'll get arrested in Alabama.
Oh, Mr. Wood.
Oh, Mr. Wood. Chapter 13. Oh, we're flying through these chapters.
We started at page 40.
They're like,
just FYI.
Okay, cool. Kris, are you okay? Lindy cried, turning her eyes away from the grinning, jewelry-covered dummy. Kris didn't seem to hear her. Are you okay? Lindy repeated the question. Whoa, what's going on? Kris stammered, having a panic attack, her back pressed against the wall, her expression taut with terror. It's pretty good alliteration.
Yeah.
Who did this? Did Mr. Wood? Lindy started to reply, but their mother's howl of surprise from the doorway cut off her words. Oh! Mom! Lindy cried, spinning around. Mrs. Powell clicked on the ceiling light. The kitchen seemed to flare up. All three of them blinked, struggling to adjust to the sudden brightness. What on earth? Mrs. Powell cried. She started to call her husband, then remembered he was in Portland. I don't believe this.
Barky came bounding into the room, his tail wagging. He lowered his head and started to lick up some spilled milk.
Useless, Barky.
Very useless. Out you go, Mrs. Powell said sternly. She picked up the dog, carried him out, and closed the kitchen door. Like, left him outside?
Just went,
It's like, fuck this dog, I can't handle it.
I imagine
Be
they have a
gone!
fence.
Then she strode into
They
the
got
center
Portland
of the room.
money. They have a fence.
That's true. Shaking her head, her bare feet narrowly missing the puddle of milk. I came down for a drink and I found this mess, Kris said in a trembling voice. The food, my jewelry, everything. Mr. Wood did it, Lindy accused. Look at him. Stop it! Stop it! Mrs. Powell screamed. Mrs. Powell surveyed the mess, frowning and tugging at a strand of blonde hair. She's losing her
Oh my God.
mind with these girls.
She's like calling her husband and like,
just clutching a handful of bloody hair.
be crazy.
I knew it.
Calls her husband, and she's like, "You left me in the house with these dummies and these puppets."
Amazing.
Oh, you bastard.
I knew it, she said in a low voice, raising her eyes accusingly to the two girls. I knew this had something to do with those ventriloquist dummies. Mr. Wood did it, Mom, Kris said heatedly, stepping away from the wall, her hands tensed into fists. I know it sounds dumb, but stop it, Mrs. Powell ordered, narrowing her eyes.
So scary.
She's on the edge.
Oh, I know, yeah.
This is just sick. Sick! She stared hard at the jewel-bedecked dummy, who grinned up at her over the big platter of chicken. Just imagine being this woman. You'd lose your fucking mind.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I'm going to take these dummies away from you both, Mrs. Powell said, turning back to Lindy and Kris. The whole thing has just gotten out of control. I'm at my wit's end. No, Kris cried.
That's not fair.
Lindy declared. I'm sorry, but they have to be put away, Mrs. Powell said firmly, like we did to your older sister who had a similar problem. She let her eyes
Her
move
name
over
was
the cluttered
Slappy.
floor. She let her eyes move over the cluttered floor and let out another weary sigh. Oh, look at my kitchen.
But I didn't do anything.
Lindy screamed. I need Mr. Wood for the spring concert, Kris protested. Everyone is counting on me, Mom. Mrs. Powell glanced from one to the other. Her eyes stayed on Kris. That's your dummy on the floor, right? Yeah, Kris told her, but I didn't do this, I swear. You both swear you didn't do it, right? Mrs. Powell said, suddenly looking very tired under the harsh ceiling light. Yes, Lindy answered quickly.
Yes.
Lindy answered quickly. And then I'll use one of my dad's lines. Well, then I guess Casper the fucking ghost did it. Heard that a lot growing up.
Amazing.
That's great.
Then you both lose your dummies. I'm sorry, Mrs. Powell said. One of you is lying. I really can't believe this. I should have swallowed you both. A heavy silence blanketed the room as all three Powells stared down in dismay at the mess on the floor. Kris was the first to speak. Mom, what if Lindy and I clean everything up?
And buy you new groceries. That celery is damp.
Damn.
The eggs are fucked. Lindy caught on quickly. Her face brightened.
Yeah. What if we put everything back right now?
It didn't sound like she caught on quickly.
Yeah. Make it spotless. Can we keep our dummies down?
Mrs. Powell shook her head. No, I don't think so. Look at this mess. All the vegetables are spoiled. And the milk. My God, the milk. We'll replace it all, Kris said quickly, with our allowance. And we'll clean it up perfectly. Please, if we do that, give us one more chance. Mrs. Powell twisted her face in concentration, debating with herself. She stared at her daughter's eager faces. Okay, she replied finally. I want the kitchen spotless when I come down in the morning. And all the food, all the jewelry, everything back where it goes. Okay, both girls said in unison. That was tough. And I don't want to see either of those dummies down here in my kitchen ever again, Mrs. Powell demanded. If you can do that, I'll give you one more chance. Great, both girls cried at once. And I don't want to hear any more arguments about those dummies, Mrs. Powell continued. No more fights, no more competing, no more blaming everything on the dummies. I don't want to hear anything about them. Ever. You won't, Kris promised, glancing at her sister. Thanks, Mom, Lindy said. You going to bed, you know?
You go to bed, you hear? We'll clean up. She gave her mother another gentle shove toward the doorway. Get the fuck out of here. Go get out of here, Mom. Not another
sleep.
Not another word, Mrs. Powell reminded them. Right, Mom, the twins agreed. Their mother disappeared toward her room. They began to clean up. Kris pulled a large garbage bag from the drawer and held it open while Lindy tossed in empty cartons and spoiled food. Cartons. Kris carefully collected her jewelry and carried it upstairs. Neither girl spoke. They worked in silence, picking up, scrubbing, and mopping until the kitchen was clean. You know the way you used to when your parents were fucking pissed at you and you just like, in terror and silence, would clean up whatever thing you just did? That feeling. Lindy closed... Lindy closed the refrigerator door. She yawned loudly.
Sorry to interrupt that beautiful yawn.
Thank you.
What I also think is wild is like they move past accusing each other so quickly.
Yes.
Also, I can barely see your eyes because of this mic setup. They don't think it's the other one.
No, they're like,
all.
it's definitely
They
the dummy.
Both fully believe it's the dummy.
Yes.
Which shows a healthy
that's
amount
wild.
of trust between siblings.
That is very sweet.
Yeah, if this was Sweet Valley High, Jessica would be like, you're lying!
Yeah.
If this was me, I would immediately think, like, why
Yes.
the fuck are you setting me up?
Yeah. If this was Sweet Valley High, it would be Jessica doing everything and then gaslighting.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Elizabeth.
Yeah. Those fucking girls.
Those girls.
Kris inspected the floor on her hands and knees, making sure it was spotless. She was developing a complex. Then she picked up Mr. Wood. He grinned back at her as if it was all a big joke. This dummy has been nothing but trouble, Kris thought. Nothing but trouble. Kris
Fat man.
followed Lindy. It's her inner monologue. Kris followed Lindy out of the kitchen, clicking off the light as she went. Click! The two girls climbed the stairs silently. Neither of them had spoken a word. Pale moonlight filtered into their room through the open window. The air felt hot and steamy. Kris glanced at the clock. It was a little past 3 a.m. I got a backup page! Nothing happened. Okay.
This is mine. Slappy sat slumped in the chair in front of the window. I keep getting alliterations.
Oh, fuck.
Or you did too.
Yeah.
Moonlight shining on his grinning face. Lindy, yawning, climbed into bed, pushed down the blanket, and pulled up the sheet. She turned her face away from her sister. Kris lowered Mr. Wood from her shoulder. Wait, is this your page?
No? What?
Oh, no, she's just repeating herself to herself because she's lost her mind. You're nothing but trouble, she thought angrily, again, holding him in front of her and staring at his grinning face. Nothing but trouble.
That's the 4th time she said that.
Yeah. Mr. Wood's wide, leering grin seemed to mock her. A chill of fear mixed with her anger. I'm beginning to hate this dummy, she thought. Fear him and hate him. Yikes.
Italicized.
Damn.
Yeah. Angrily, she pulled open the closet door and tossed the dummy into the closet. It fell in a crumpled heap on the floor. Kris slammed the closet door shut. Her heart thudding, she climbed into bed and pulled up the covers. She suddenly felt very tired. Her entire body ached from weariness. She buried her face in the pillow and shut her eyes. She had just about fallen asleep when she heard the tiny voice. Let me out! Let me out of here! She cried, a muffled voice coming from inside the closet. Are we stopping here? Or more?
One more. Let's do one more.
Okay, one more.
Chapter 14. Let me out! Let me out! The high-pitched voice called angrily. Kris sat up with a jolt. Her entire body convulsed in a shudder of fear. Her eyes darted to the other bed. Lindy hadn't moved. Did you hear it? Kris stammered.
Hear what?
Lindy asked sleepily. A voice. In the closet.
Huh?
Lindy asked sleepily.
What are you talking about? It's 3 a.m. Can't we get some sleep? I just want to get some goddamn shut-eye.
But, Lindy. Kris lowered her feet to the floor. Her heart was thudding in her chest. Wake up! Listen to me! Mr. Wood was calling to me. He was talking. Lindy raised her head and listened. Silence.
I don't hear anything, Kris. Really, maybe you were dreaming.
No! Kris shrieked,
No!
feeling herself lose control. It wasn't a dream. I'm so scared, Lindy. I'm just so scared. Suddenly, Kris was trembling all over, and hot tears are pouring down her cheeks. Lindy stood up and moved
Hot
to the
Tears
edge
was
of
my
her
emo band in college.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Jesus Christ. Lindy stood up and moved to the edge of her sister's bed. Something horrible is going on here, Lindy. Kris stammered through her tears. And I know who's doing it, Lindy whispered, leaning over her twin, putting a comforting hand on her quivering shoulder. Huh?
Yeah, I know who's been doing it all,
Lindy whispered.
I know who it is.
No, we can't end that.
Who? Kris asked breathlessly.
We can't end there.
No, we won't end there.
That was a very short one.
These chapters are like 3 pages long. All right.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You
Here,
can keep reading.
keep going.
Okay.
I love what this
Chapter
happened.
15. Ooh, Kris repeated, letting the tears run down her cheeks. Ooh. I have, Lindy said.
What?
Her smile spread into a grin almost as wide
Lindy,
as
you bitch.
Lindy, I was
closed
on your
her eyes.
side.
It's such a shit move. Man. She closed her eyes and laughed. Huh? Kris didn't understand. What did you say?
I said, I have been doing it.
Lindy repeated.
Me, Lindy. It was all a joke, Kris. I got you again.
She
Wow.
nodded as if confirming her words.
Just then, a rift
Kris-
formed between the two sisters that would never heal.
Truly.
Yeah.
Kris gaped at her twin in disbelief. It was all a joke? Lindy kept nodding.
You sick fuck.
You moved Mr. Wood? Yeah, it's you disgust me.
Fucking insane.
That's really crazy.
You moved Mr. Wood during the night? You dressed him in my clothes? And you made him say those gross things to me? You put him in the kitchen. You made that horrible mess? Lindy chuckled.
Whoa.
Yeah, I really scared you, didn't I?
Wow.
Psycho.
This is fucked up. Kris balled her hands into angry fists. But, she sputtered, why? For fun, Lindy replied, dropping back onto her bed, still grinning. Fun? I wanted to see if I could scare you, Lindy explained. It was just a joke. You know, I can't believe you fell for that voice in your closet just now. I must be a really good ventriloquist.
I hate this bitch.
But Lindy, you really believe Mr. Wood was alive or something? Lindy said, laughing, enjoying her victory. You're such a nit, you stupid bitch. Nits? Half a nitwit? Lindy burst into wild laughter. That's how fucking dumb you are. It isn't funny, Kris
Is
said
this gonna
softly.
be like a boy who cried wolf thing, and
I
now
hope so.
Slappy's gonna do a bunch of shit no one's gonna believe her?
Yes. I hope so.
Good. Fuck Lindy. She deserves it.
Yeah. It isn't funny, Kris said softly. I know, Lindy replied. It's a riot! You should have seen the look on your face when you saw Mr. Wood downstairs and your precious beads and earrings.
Earrings.
It's the best voice we've ever done. Holy shit. How did you ever think of such a mean and psychotic joke? Kris demanded. It just came to me, Lindy answered with some pride. When you got your dummy. You didn't want me to get a dummy, Kris said thoughtfully. You're right, Lindy quickly agreed. I wanted something that would be mine for a change. I'm so tired of you being a copycat. So... Kris cuts her off.
So you thought of this mean joke, Kris accused. Lindy nodded. Kris strode angrily to the window and pressed her forehead against the glass, which is a real sane thing to do. I can't believe I was
She poured
so
a glass of whiskey
stupid,
and
she
stared.
muttered. Neither can I, Lindy agreed, grinning again. You really made me start thinking that Mr. Wood was alive or something, Kris said, staring out the window to the backyard below. You really made me afraid of him. Aren't I brilliant? Lindy proclaimed. Kris turned to face her sister. I'm never speaking to you again, she said angrily. Lindy shrugged. It was just a joke. No, Kris insisted. It's too mean to be a joke. I'm never speaking to you again. Never. Fine, Lindy replied curtly. I thought you had a sense of humor. Fine. Really?
Damn.
Dude.
You are fucking insane.
Who would be like, you're right.
Kind of
That
victim blaming
was a
shit.
good burn. You
Holy
got me.
Sorry I made you so mad.
Sorry I drove our mother to the brink of insanity. Thought you had a sense of humor. She slid back into bed, her back to Kris, and pulled the covers up over her head. I've got to find a way to pay her back for this, Kris thought. But how?
Bum. Damn. This book is awesome.
It is. It's so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait until the dolls do some fucked up shit.
Me too. Like we're now entering the back half of this book, and like
Yeah.
a big twist just happened, and like I feel like that usually doesn't happen in an R.L. Stine book. He usually waits until the last chapter, and then it's
Yeah.
just like, and actually these kids were dead the whole time, and then their dad's a plant. And,
Yeah.
and then you just have to like stop reading and be like, oh, okay. So yeah, this is great.
Oh, especially when it's like, oh, and their dad's stuck as a plant forever.
Yeah, just some really
Yeah.
dark shit.
Yeah, sit with that.
Dark ass books.
Yeah.
Sit with that, Jonathan, when you were 10. Well, Huey, thank you for joining us. I know you get a packed schedule today, and you fit us in.
You know what's so weird? You've asked me to be here like 4 times, and like, and I have like nothing on my schedules except for like the 4
The
times
nights,
you
yeah.
asked me to do stuff. I'm
Even-
like wide open normally, man.
Yeah, even when I was like about to text you, I was like, oh, he's probably got plans.
I don't.
Well,
Well, yesterday he asked me, he's like, when are you good to record this week? And I was like whenever, man. And he was like, all right, I will do my best to get a cool guest. And you know what? He fucking delivered.
fucking nailed it.
Hey, thanks. This is a great I like being on this podcast.
Yeah, I was just thinking like this is only your second time on, but like I need to put you in the rotation, like the
Yeah.
regular roster of
I'll be there.
awesome. That's exciting.
Sweet.
All right.
Dude,
well,
real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick before you I loved that. I listened to in preparation. I always listen to your most recent episode.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
So
That's
I
awesome.
listened
So
to the
you
to
were
the
more up to
Animorphs
date than we
episode?
were. Oh, shit.
that
Ooh.
was the last one that was up.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
So
we
I
didn't
know
put
if
this
there
up
was-
yet. The other Slappy one.
yeah. I'm trying to.
Yeah, how'd you like the Animorphs one?
That is crazy.
It is. Yeah.
Those
It is
books are
so
shocking.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we went from book 42 to the second one.
Oh yeah.
That's you were. It's beautiful,
Oh man.
and I could listen to John Walker talk all day.
Oh, who couldn't?
Perfect, like radio voice. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's it's a reason why we have him on a lot.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah, those Animorphs. I know we know, like going, and this is only our second Animorphs book, but like they're so
God,
scarring.
it feels
It's
like we've done so many.
like going into it is so great because you're like, I'm prepared for how weird this is, and then they're just like, yerks, hork, bajir, and you're like,
They're
We
just-
need to have
they're
Huey
so
on for an
dense with
Animorphs
lore.
episode.
yes,
I
yes to both.
I
And
implore
we need
you.
to have him on for a Christopher Pike book.
I
Yes.
implore you to pick one of those books that I sent you, Jonathan.
Oh, also, yeah, Huey had a couple of recommendations for
Oh,
things I've
nice.
never
Okay.
heard
They're
of.
so crazy.
Oh my god,
That's
I'm so
awesome.
excited. Okay. Yay. This is you've reinvigorated us after an accidental 2-month hiatus.
Until our lives get busy again. And we're like, wait, when was the last time we recorded?
Yeah, exactly. It's only November. Nothing else happens this year. Yeah, what'd you think of this shit, this dummy shit?
I love it, and I mean, I guess I was wrong about this sandwich thing or whatever. So
I don't know. We got half of the book left, so there could
that's
be.
true. You could still sand.
And there's like 5 Night of the Dummy books. Like he kept
That's
writing
true.
sequels.
It might be
I
the
think it was
second
the-
one now that you're pointing it out.
Yeah,
He
I,
was
don't-
the main antagonist of the first movie as well.
I think he's
He
the main
was.
antagonist of just like the brand.
Yeah, he's like their what's the jigsaw guy?
Yes, yeah.
Jigsaw.
Jigsaw.
Like the proto jigsaw.
Slappy is the Goosebumps says Jigsaw is the saw. That's perfect. Slappy comes. Here's the thing: if Jigsaw came in on a little tricycle, I'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here, Jigsaw." If Slappy came in on a tricycle, I'd be like, "Kill me now!"
I don't even know what he's capable of yet. I thought he was doing all these shenanigans.
I know. Oh, he's just waiting.
He's just
It's like
maybe
I
he's
know you'll take
filled,
it anyway.
He's filled Lindy with his evil. He's just like corrupting her
Oh,
soul.
he's acting through her.
And then now he's gonna just go buck wild and do some crazy dummy shit.
Oh boy, I cannot wait to see what happens next time. Huey, is there anything you want people to know who's listening to this?
Anything to
Anything you
plug?
want to plug?
Yeah, that.
I don't have anything going on right now really, but you can listen to my wife's podcast, The Ink Sink.
Hey,
Ooh.
what's that about?
What's that about?
What's it about? It's about news in the publishing industry. That's what she does.
Oh shit, that sounds.
It's pretty cool. And it's a lot of book stuff.
I was gonna say that
um,
sounds intellectual.
They actually recently did a book about Goosebumps.
that's
Sorry, not a
awesome.
book about it. They did an episode about it and how it was probably written by like 500 different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, it all very much has
That's what I was gonna
Reginald
say.
Lewis Stein's mark on every
His little,
one that
yeah,
we've
his
read.
joie de vivre.
Yeah, if you had to ask me, although I don't know, this one's good, so maybe someone else wrote it.
Yeah, like there's like occasional like sentences where it's like, oh, that's a good fucking sentence, and then all of a sudden it just turns to shit again.
Well, you know,
Which number in
if
the
they repeat
series
it
is
4
this?
times, you know that
this might
that was
be-
one of his.
I think we're still under 10, but we've read a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know at what point these writers start getting ghostwriters, but it seems to be a theme with the young adult writers
Yes.
from this time
The,
period.
the chapter books
Yeah.
of, you just get someone else to crank them out.
Yeah, you just get a
I would
factory
love
of
to get to
people
the
That's
point-
how
start-
Animorphs comes up
popping
with
these
10
books out.
different alien species.
Yeah.
I would love to write, be published, and then get to a point to where all I ever have to do is turn in an outline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just like
Like
make
that would be amazing.
some.
The James Patterson, you know. That
Yeah, like here's an outline. Do what you will with it.
yeah, who cares?
That's the dream right there.
All right. Well, tune in next time to see what Slappy and Mr. Wood get up to, and if Lindy loses her mind.
Maybe they fuck each other.
That's what I thought was happening. This was awesome. Huey, thank you so much. I will definitely have you back on soon. I don't know, every book. Fuck it. I don't care.
Rock and roll.
New cast member.
All right. Thanks for listening, and we love you. Bye.
Bye.
Below Grade Level is a Cactus Radio production. You can contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com. Subscribe and follow on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and follow Cactus Rodeo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more entertainment and updates.